The boat cut through the calm sea as the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and pink. Freyja stood at the bow, the ocean breeze tugging at her hair, a rare calm settling over her usually restless mind. Behind her, Becky sat quietly, her eyes fixed on the endless horizon. It was the first moment in what felt like forever that the weight of the apocalypse didn't press down on them. No desperate escapes. No danger lurking in shadows. Just salt air, the sound of waves, and the promise of something close to peace. As the boat docked at a small, secluded cove, Freyja stepped down onto the warm sand, feeling the grains sift between her fingers. She turned and held out a hand to Becky, who took it with a tentative smile. The touch was grounding, a quiet reassurance that they were still here. Still together. "This place," Becky breathed, looking around. "It's like the world forgot about us for a moment." Freyja smiled softly. "It's one of the few places I remember before everything went dark. My family's old vacation spot. Private. Safe. If we can survive here, maybe we can remember who we were." Becky's eyes glistened with something like hope. Maybe. They walked side by side down the shoreline, the cool waves washing over their feet, carrying away some of the lingering dread. Freyja's hand never left Becky's, a silent promise woven in their fingers. A small cabin stood nestled between palms and rocks, its weathered wood blending in landscape. Freyja pushed open the door, revealing a cozy interior filled with memories, faded photographs, a cracked fireplace, a bed draped in crisp linens. Becky let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "You kept this place?" she asked, awe in her voice. Freyja nodded. "It's our sanctuary now." Becky looked up at her. "Thank you. For bringing me here. For everything." Freyja's gaze softened. "You're not just someone I protect. You're the reason I want to keep fighting." The two stood close, the unspoken between them heavy but tender. Freyja reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from Becky's face. "Let's make this moment ours," Freyja whispered. Becky leaned in, their lips meeting in a gentle, searching kiss, the kind that promised safety, healing, and something more. The night settled gently over the cove, the sky a tapestry of stars reflected in the quiet sea. The cabin's small fire pit flickered to life, casting warm shadows on their faces. Freyja and Becky sat side by side on a blanket spread over the sand, the chill of the evening softened by the shared warmth between them. Becky sipped from a bottle of wine, the rich flavor grounding her nerves. She glanced sideways at Freen, who was staring thoughtfully into the flames. "It's strange," Becky began softly, "to feel safe again. Like, really safe. For the first time in forever." Freyja smiled, a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. "I know. It's almost surreal. I've been so used to watching over you, over everyone. I forgot what it's like to just be." Becky nudged Freyja's shoulder gently. "You don't have to carry all of it anymore. Not here." Freyja shook her head, voice low. "It's not that simple. The world out there. It's changing. The infected are retreating, but something else is growing inside me. Something I can't control." Becky's gaze sharpened, concern mingling with love. "You don't have to hide it from me. I want to help. Whatever it is." Freyja looked down, fists tightening in her lap. "Sometimes, I'm scared you'll see the monster before the girl you know." Becky reached out, her fingers brushing Freyja's knuckles. "You're still you. And I'm not going anywhere." For a long moment, they just sat, two broken souls finding solace in each other's presence. The ocean's lullaby mingled with their steady breathing. Then Becky shifted closer, resting her head on Freyja's shoulder. "Tell me everything," she whispered. Freyja hesitated, then let the dam break. She spoke of the nightmares, the shifting hunger, the fear of losing herself. Becky listened, her grip never loosening. When Freyja finally finished, Becky lifted her head to meet those haunted eyes. "We'll face this together," Becky vowed. "I'll be your anchor." Freyja smiled through the tears. "You already are." The night deepened, wrapped in promises and whispered confessions. Slowly, their lips met again, this time with a hunger born from months of fear and longing. Freyja's hands traced Becky's back, memorizing every curve. Becky's fingers tangled in Freya's hair, pulling her closer. The world shrank until all that existed was their shared heat, their racing hearts. As the fire crackled, they slowly shed the barriers built by pain and mistrust. Clothes slipped away like old fears, revealing skin flushed by desire, and the quiet ache of loneliness finally soothed. The cabin walls witnessed the slow unfolding of two hearts finding refuge in one another. Their love was a balm, a defiance against the darkness creeping beyond the door. Every touch was a promise. Every kiss, a healing balm. Their bodies moved in sync, a dance of trust and surrender. When they finally came together, it was with a gentle desperation, a release of all the pain. Alone, lying tangled in the quiet aftermath, Freya whispered, "I love you." Becky smiled, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on Freya's skin. "I love you more." When morning came, light spilled through the windows, bathing the room in gold. Freya's body lay still, but her eyes opened, shimmering with a strange light. Becky noticed immediately, the silver gleam, the tension beneath Freya's skin. "Freya?" she called softly. Freya's body trembled violently, a guttural sound dripping from her throat. The transformation had begun. Becky's heart pounded, but she stayed firm, wrapping her arms around Freya. "I'm here. You're not alone." Freya's breaths came ragged, the fight raging within. "I won't let you go," Becky promised, tears falling freely. With every agonizing moment, Freya fought to hold onto the humanity they both cherished. The room trembled as Freya's body jerked again, her back arching off the bed. Her eyes flickered between their normal dark brown and the unnatural silver that had been haunting her reflection. Veins pulsed visibly beneath her skin, not black like the infected, but a faint, glowing white-blue, as if her body was caught in a war between light and darkness. Becky held her tighter, whispering soothing words even as her heart hammered with fear. "You're still you," she murmured, brushing damp hair from Freya's forehead. "You're still mine." Freya groaned, her voice strained and cracked. I can't. It's burning inside me, Beck. It's like it wants to rip me apart." Becky leaned closer, her lips against Freya's temple. "Then let it burn with me beside you. You don't have to fight it alone." Freya's hands clutched Becky's arms, her nails digging into skin. She looked up with wild eyes that shimmered unnaturally, not monstrous, but almost celestial. "I don't want to hurt you." "You won't," Becky said with certainty. "You've protected me through everything. Let me protect you now." Outside, the wind howled, the waves crashing louder against the rocks as if the world could feel the shift inside the cabin. Time stretched. Pain and power surged through Freya's body like a storm. Then, stillness. Freya's body fell limp in Becky's arms, her breath shallow but steady. The glow in her eyes dimmed to a soft, otherworldly silver. Becky pressed her forehead to Fr. "You fought it back." Freya's voice was barely audible. "I don't know what I'm anymore." "You're Freya," Becky said fiercely. "You're the girl who gave me a home when I had none. Who held me when I cried. Who made me feel like I wasn't broken." Tears slipped down her cheeks as she cupped Freya's face. "I don't care what's changing inside you. I love you. All of you." Freya's lips curved into a trembling smile. "You're really not scared?" Becky nodded, resolute. "I was scared of losing you. That's the only thing I fear." Freya slowly sat up, her body weak but her eyes now glowing steadily, not with danger, but with something new. Controlled. Balanced. Becky could feel it, a strange energy in the air. Freya wasn't human anymore, not fully. But she wasn't infected either. She was something in between. Something more. Later, they walked along the shoreline again, the sand cool beneath their feet. Freya's arm wrapped around Becky's waist as the morning sun rose behind them. "I think I'm evolving," Freya said softly, watching the waves. "Not into a monster. Into something that can adapt. Survive." Becky looked up at her. "You've always been a survivor." Freya laughed lightly, her voice steadier now. "Maybe this is what I was meant to become. Not to destroy. But to lead." Becky stopped walking, turning to face her. "Then whatever you become, I'll follow. Because I trust you. And I love you. Freyan's expression faltered for a moment, overcome with emotion. She pulled Becky into her arms and held her tight, as if she could fuse their hearts together and never let go. Whatever comes next, Freyan whispered, you're my home, Beck. You always will be. They kissed again, soft and sure, as the sun climbed higher, bathing the world in golden light. For now, the apocalypse was far away. For now, love was enough. The day unfolded gently, with sun-drenched hours spent between whispered conversations, long gazes, and lingering touches. Freyan and Becky lounged on the cabin porch, wrapped in a blanket, sipping warm tea as the ocean whispered in the background. Becky rested her head on Freyan's shoulder. Do you remember the first time we really talked? Freyan chuckled softly. You mean when I offered you an extra pair of pajamas and found you crying on my couch? Becky smiled faintly. I thought I was so strong back then. But I was breaking apart inside. And you saw me. Freyan's voice dropped to a near whisper. You were the first person I ever wanted to protect for more than just duty or guilt. With you, it's always been different. Becky turned, their eyes locking. Even back then. When we hated each other. Freyan brushed her knuckles against Becky's cheek. I think I only hated how much you affected me. A flush rose to Becky's cheeks. She leaned into the touch, her fingers lacing with Freyan's. I wish I'd known sooner. Maybe I wouldn't have been so scared to admit how I felt. You're not too late, Freyan said, leaning in until their foreheads touched. We're still here. They sat like that, pressed together under the blanket, hearts aligned. The storm outside their world had quieted, if only temporarily. The infection hadn't disappeared, but the cove was untouched, a place frozen in time. For the first time in a long time, they allowed themselves to. As the sun dipped again below the sea, Freyan stood alone by the waterline, waves curling around her ankles. Becky watched from the doorway, arms crossed, eyes following every quiet movement. There was something regal about Freyan now, not in a grand, arrogant way, but in the way she held herself. Steady. Strong. Changed. Becky stepped down the porch and walked up behind her, her hand slipping into Freyan's without a word. The cabin was dark, save for the soft flicker of candlelight dancing across the wooden walls. The scent of the sea clung to their skin, mingled with the earthy warmth of firewood and the lingering memory of ocean breeze. Freyan lay beside Becky on the bed, her fingers brushing lazy patterns across Becky's bare back. Their bodies fit like puzzle pieces, warm, slick with sweat, pulsing with the memory of their union. The silence between them wasn't empty, it thrummed with everything they couldn't put into words. Becky's head rested on Freyan's chest, listening to the steady thump of her heart, still human, yet not entirely. You feel different, Becky whispered. But you still smell like you. You still feel like you. Freyan smiled softly, her fingers tangling in Becky's hair. I don't know what I'm becoming, but if I'm holding you through it, I think I can handle it. Becky raised her head slightly, their noses brushing. I saw the glow in your eyes. It didn't scare me. It was beautiful. Freyan blinked, her expression softening. Even if that glow means I'm not fully human anymore? Becky kissed her gently. Maybe I never fell in love with your humanity. Maybe it was your soul all along. The kiss deepened, slow, reverent. A promise. Freyan pulled Becky beneath her again, their skin meeting in a renewed rhythm, slower this time, filled with awe and quiet desperation. Every movement was laced with meaning, every gasp like prayer. Their second time that night wasn't about passion or urgency, it was about memorizing each other. About building a bridge between what was and what would be. Afterward, they lay tangled beneath the blanket, the windows cracked open to let in the sea breeze. Freyan stared at the ceiling, one hand resting over Becky's heart. The world's still ending. And I'm changing into something unknown. But here, right now. It's perfect. Becky curled into her side. The world can wait. Tonight is ours. Morning broke with pale gold light spilling into the room. Freyan woke before Becky, watching the rise and fall of her chest, memorizing the peace on her face. Her transformation had slowed, stabilized overnight. No more pain. No more spasms. Just Stillness. Freya stood and stepped outside, the cool air meeting her bare skin. She stared out at the ocean, letting the salty wind sweep through her hair. Something was shifting in her blood, no longer just survival instinct, but something greater. A calling. She sensed the infected beyond the hills, hundreds of them. But they weren't angry. They were quiet. Waiting. Are you feeling it again? Becky's voice was soft behind her. Freya turned, surprised she'd woken. I didn't mean to. Becky wrapped a shawl around her and pulled her close. It's okay. You don't have to hide it. Freya held her tightly. They're waiting. I don't know for what. But I can feel them. I'm connected to them now, somehow. Not as one of them, but as something that can command them. Becky's eyes widened. Freya. Maybe this is how we save the world. I don't want to be a savior, Freya said quietly. I just want to stay here. With you. Becky pressed her lips to Freya's chest, right over her heart. Then let's stay a little longer. But when the time comes, you won't face it alone. Freya exhaled slowly, her cheek resting against Becky's hair. You're everything, Beck. My anchor. My light. Becky smiled. And you're my storm. But the kind that washes everything clean. The sun rose higher, painting streaks of gold and pink across the horizon. Freya and Becky stood at the water's edge, barefoot, wind sweeping through their hair. Their fingers were interlaced, and silence hung between them, a kind of sacred quiet, before the world called them back. I don't want to leave, Becky said softly. Freya turned to her. Then we don't have to. Not yet. But we will, Becky replied, a tremble in her voice. You feel it too, don't you? The shift. Whatever's waiting out there. It's coming. And you're a part of it. Freya swallowed hard. I wanted this trip to be a break. A memory for us to hold on to. It is that, Becky said, pressing her palm to Freya's cheek. But it's also a beginning. Freya pulled her close, their foreheads pressed together as the waves kissed their feet. I'm scared, Freya admitted. Not of what I am. But of losing you. You won't, Becky whispered. You've already saved me more times than I can count. Now it's my turn to stand with you. They stood like that for a long time, wrapped in each other, as the ocean churned around them like a protective circle. Later that evening, Freya began to test her senses. She stood alone by the rocks, closing her eyes, reaching into that part of herself that had awakened. She could feel the infected scattered across the land, but not with fear. It was like listening to whispers in a dream. She could understand their hunger, their confusion, their loss. She didn't command them. She understood them. And somehow, they were beginning to understand her too. Becky watched from a distance, awe in her eyes. Freya looked like a goddess standing against the wind, wild, untamed, powerful. When Freya returned, she was quiet for a long time. They're listening, she finally said. Not all of them. But enough. If I went to them. If I called them back. I think they'd follow. Becky stepped close. Then maybe this is our path. Freya took her hand. But it's not just mine to walk. Not without you. I told you, Becky said, voice firm. I'm with you until the end. Or until the world begins again. Freya pulled her in, their kiss slow and certain. No longer filled with fear. No longer clouded with doubt. Just love. That night, their final night on the beach, they made love again. This time not out of desperation or newfound passion, but from something deeper, a vow. A promise. A soul bonding that neither of them could fully name. Afterward, wrapped in blankets beneath the stars, Becky traced the veins on Freya's wrist glowing faintly with silver. What if you never stop changing? She asked. Freya looked at her. Then you'll have to keep reminding me who I am. Becky smiled, placing a kiss over Freya's heart. You're mine. That's who you are. The next morning came quietly. Freya packed their things. Becky wrote a note and left it on the windowsill, a message to the sea. Thank you for giving us time. We'll carry this place in our bones. Billy's voice crackled through the walkie they had left by the porch. Freya. You there? Things are moving fast. You'll want to get back. I'll explain everything. Freya clicked the receiver. We're on our way. She turned to Becky, who nodded, heart already thudding with the weight of the unknown. Let's go rewrite the ending, Becky whispered. Freya smiled, eyes glowing faintly. Together,